Hi, we're here to report true BBC style.
Who are we first? Who even are we?
Well, we're on the Ashdown Jones Facebook page, so I think they probably know we're Ashdown Jones. So here's Jones, I'm the Ashdown. We sat the wrong way around. Okay, yeah, right. We're here to report on the budget. Rachel has just sat down, we think, and you've got some thoughts on the budget announcements and what the changes are, and most importantly, why it matters for our lovely homeowners here in the Lake District and the Lune Valley.
Yeah, and the reason why I wanted to be so fast is because there's been a lot of commentary over the last 3-4 months from buyers and sellers, and some trepidation, lots of rumours flying around of what it was going to be. We've given our opinion a few times of what we expected, and in the end, it was sort of relatively quiet.
Pretty late as well, isn't it?
Well, it got released early by accident at 12 o'clock.
What do you mean by accident?
By accident, somebody released it early. But there were a couple of key points in the budget that I was going to quickly discuss.
Okay. So, what do you think has been the most hard-hitting of all the announcements? Or all the new measures, I should say.
In general, or for property?
Well, let's go for property first, but then you can also tell us in general what you think.
Well, I think the headline of property is the so-called mansion tax. Although in some areas of the UK, 2 million isn't a mansion. It's a 2-bed semi.
Yeah, but in some areas it is a flipping country
And
estate.
in some areas it is the whole county.
So it seems a very arbitrary amount. Just explain what.
So the idea of the mansion tax is that if you own a property that's worth over £2 million, you will pay an extra £2,500 a year in tax. They'll be collected with the council tax. If you own a home that's over 5 million, that would be 7,500. So it's quite a big difference. Now, the challenges to this
massive
is,
challenge.
first of all, they don't plan on bringing it until 2028. That's fairly close to the election. It feels like an easy thing for competition to say, look, that won't come in. And also, how on earth do they value every house? Who values it? Who do they do the market value of that date? At the moment, all the valuations in 1991. So if they're going to do 2 million from 1991, well, that's not many.
Well, who valued it back in 1991? Did the council appoint surveyors?
I was not born, Samantha. So I don't know. Certainly wasn't me.
That was a dig. Did you hear that? That was a definite dig.
Yeah, you tell us what happened. Do they use Rightmove? Do they use recently sold? Do they use
Could use some kind of AI algorithm,
move that? But as we know in the Lakes, you can buy a house, that's a council tax band D and knock it down, build something that's all of a sudden an H. How are they going to work all that out? So
really, what we're talking about is, in effect, it's an extra level of council tax.
It's a Florida style.
Okay, what's a Florida style?
Where you pay, in Florida, I think it's 3% the property value to the US government every year, which is why we didn't buy in the US in the end.
You as a family?
You as a family. One of the main reasons.
Because it's actually cheap to buy the house, but it's expensive to keep it.
Yeah, so the impact, while it's still lingering as a 2028 date, it's not good news for the high-end market, is it? It's just another cost, another thing to think about.
I just don't think it'll come in time.
No, I agree. I don't actually think it'll happen. But while it's there, on the table to happen, it's just an annoyance.
And it will only affect it'll affect obviously a few homes here in the Lake District, but it'll affect, they think, between 100 and 150,000 properties across the country.
Yeah, but I think if they do revalue all the properties, it'll be higher than that. It'll be quite a bit higher than that, I expect.
Did they do anything with stamp duty?
No. And the reason why they said they were no longer going to do anything with stamp duty was because it would take too long to implement. Which I think is the same thing with
because one thing we've talked about stamp duty before on a previous one of these videos is we talked about the fact that they're considering moving the obligation to pay stamp duty from the buyer to the seller, which we would feel would be a good thing for the property market, because then the buyer can get a mortgage on the uplift in value.
There's more cash. Initially it would be good, and then after a couple of years it would even itself out anyway. There's some other small taxes, like a 3p on every mile you drive an electric vehicle.
So this maddens me. This is absolutely mad with me because
That's nothing to do with property, but I just
for
I feel
20
like it's
years
worth
they've
mentioning.
been pushing electric vehicles, and you know, people like Jaguar are no longer making any vehicles that are not electric anymore.
Yeah.
So we've all thought, right, we all need to move over to electric. We've all embraced it, reluctantly, of course. And now we're putting 3p a mile on. It's because they're not taking any duty off it.
Your Tesla shares are going to take a hit.
They've already taken
Your
it.
£200 worth of Tesla shares.
Between Trump and Rachel Reeves, they've got no Tesla shares left. What else?
So the other main thing for property is another squeeze on landlords. They do not like landlords. So 2% tax.
Landlords are the devil, aren't they?
2% tax. Well, and entrepreneurs. 2% tax increase on dividends, savings, and any income via property. So I thought I'd found a loophole very quickly. Then there's a slight loophole, but you end up paying it anyway. Is that if you own the properties in a limited company, then the corporation tax hasn't gone up, so you don't pay the extra 2% on the income of the property. But if you ever want to take that money out, it's on the dividends, so you'd end up paying the 2% on the dividends in a roundabout way.
So if you're a property owner and you're an investor, then talk to us about the likely implications on your portfolio for this tax, because it's good.
Ultimately, the squeeze of landlords will sell. That will push prices likely down in that market, but it'll force the rents up.
Yeah, but they'll be more available for rent.
No, they'll be less available because landlords are selling.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and
And with the Renters Reform Act.
yeah, and the banks are buying quite a lot of rentals. So eventually,
Are they?
yeah.
I don't know that.
I think I read, and this might be fake news, but I'll throw it out there, that BlackRock, which I think own Lloyds, again, might not be true, owns something like the third most properties in the UK.
So you don't know any of these facts, really?
All that could be total nonsense. I might have dreamt all that. I think it's true.
Well,
So eventually they will control the rental market, which is quite dangerous.
it's very dangerous, isn't it? The average yield in the Lake District isn't great. If you've got a decent sized house and you rent it out, you're not going to get a good return anyway. And if you own it privately, you're going to be hit with a massive tax. So really, they're making it so hard to be a landlord at the moment. If you want more than 3% as a yield on your property, you need to buy in Morecambe or Barrow or
Yeah,
Lancaster.
the Lakes isn't good for you.
It's really not, no. However, if you've got a beautiful home there that's been your family for generations and you want to keep hold of it, and holiday lets is, the whole legislation around holiday lets and the new taxation rules is putting you off, then actually a long-term let is probably a good idea for you, because then you get to hang on to the house. Somebody's going to keep it for you. Nice, you don't have to be worried about the maintenance so much, because you've got a long-term tenant in there, because these houses are so rare to rent in the Lake District.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think overall, there's no huge changes. I don't think we'll see much impact. We heard a lot of buyers saying, "Oh, we want to wait until the budget."
But there's nothing that's going to
There was
affect
nothing for them
the
to wait
decision.
for, really. But,
No.
So now there's no reason for them not to buy. I guess you could argue if they were paying over 2 million, they might be concerned. But most people paying over 2 million probably don't have a huge concern about 2,500 a year.
So from the 6 things that we had to look for, which was high value property levy, stamp duty overhaul, high taxes on other banned homes, another council tax band, CGT taxes on high value main residences, planning reforms, and first time buyer support, really, the only one that's really coming in is the new council tax, and that's not coming until 2028.
Yeah, sometimes they do release some things afterwards, don't they?
Yeah.
But all those are major headlines. I think they would have included them.
So we don't think there's going to be any change in the buyer-seller demand supply balance in the Lake District at the moment. So if you are considering selling or moving in any way or letting your home, then let's have a chat and we can fill you in on what we think is the best strategy for you and your particular circumstances.
Yeah, we'll also know more over the next 4 or 6 weeks. It's not the best time to take a temperature gauge the market because it's already on the decline as it comes to Christmas.
We do have
this
some
is
sales going
October.
through at the moment though that are going to complete before Christmas, but buyers are generally waiting until the new year.
Yeah, unless we have a surge in interest that we can say that was down to the budget, it's going to be difficult to gauge.
Yeah. So yeah, chat to us, give us a call or send us an email or comment on this video, and we hope to speak to somebody very soon.